There's definitely not one acceptable pathway, but one of the great challenges of this great quest to try and get ourselves into a situation where we're not contributing to the risk of climate change is that nobody really knows what the future will be, and it's going to be determined by what emerges to be the most cost-effective and acceptable technologies. I think Europe's obviously moving ahead with its renewables agenda, but I would personally like to see a much broader mix being considered. I think we shouldn't be ruling out nuclear, particularly in Eastern Europe. And if we can crack CCS, then indigenous sources of fossil fuels could also be part of that mix. That's one of the greatest things about this question, is that it's an unknown solution, and we get to invent the future. I think the European Union will be, as ever, influenced by the three big decision-making bodies of the Council, the Commission and the Parliament. And I think they're all going to be influenced by external views about the need to move urgently towards a solution to climate change. And what will change people's attitude to gas will be the gas industry's response to the challenge of how do they address both their methane emissions and their carbon dioxide emissions pretty quickly, because we're running out of time. So it could change quite dramatically if the industry seemed to be blocking or slowing down progress. But if it gets on the front foot and starts advocating solutions and real tangible laws that can drive investment, then there could be a very positive role. But it does really hinge on how the industry approaches this problem and the actions they take to actually lobby for the things they need to address climate change. A lot of work to be done to decarbonise the whole economy. We've made reasonable progress on power. I say reasonable because actually we could have gone a lot further faster if we had perhaps taken a broader suite of technologies forward. I think the UK's approach has been a good one. It's been technology neutral, and it's found ways of de-risking large-scale investment, and that's been really successful. I think other countries have spent more money but perhaps shown less progress. And we've still got some way to go to get ourselves into a fully clean power system. And then once you have clean power, well, obviously in parallel we need to be thinking about transport, where oil is obviously clearly the dominant and quite carbon intensive source of energy. So will electrification and the use of batteries and direct use of electricity replace oil in transport? I think that's going to be a next big challenge. And then finally we'll get to the use of heating, and heating in industrial sectors could be one of the first to go if we get the right incentives in place. But then perhaps domestic and distributed use of gas will be towards the end of the challenge, and it's still not clear yet what the most cost-effective and efficient way of taking carbon out of that part of the economy is going to be. And then you've got added agricultural emissions, emissions from waste, and the non-CO2 gases. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do post-2020 and post-2030. We want to be seen to be working with industry to find solutions. We think there's a great power if you can get the current incumbent political players to start moving and not just talk about change but actually drive change. So there are people in this room who are controlling big budgets, big investment decisions, and if we can get them to align their efforts with the efforts we believe are necessary to solve climate change, then it's a really big prize. So we are always very welcome, very happy and willing to come to events like this to help wake people up and get them actively lobbying for positive solutions, which we are very happy to sit down and work with them to design and deliver.